Hey, what's up? Welcome. My name is Dalton Daughtry. I'm the author of Everyday Influencer, How to Leverage Who You Are and What You Already Know to Build Your Influence. The reason I wrote this book and I want to tee this series up with this is because I've seen a lot of success that I've accomplished in my businesses, in my consulting, in the different entrepreneurial endeavors I'm involved in. I've seen a lot of opportunities and partnerships and friendships and relationships open because I've developed a brand. I want you too to understand that the more influence you can develop, no matter what the platform is, the more people you can reach, the more people you can impact. And if you're like me and you know that God has put in your heart a dream, a desire, a vision to do something spectacular, to do something big, to do something magnanimous, if that's a word. Drop it in the comments if you know if that's not a word. If you've ever felt that same desire, then my encouragement to you is start building, start putting yourself out there, right? A light on a hill cannot be hidden. And so, if you want to be a light for other people, you've got to be willing to step out. You've got to be willing to step up. You've got to be willing to create, to post, to automate. You've got to be willing to systematize. There is learning involved, there is skill set involved. It does not happen overnight. It takes repetition after repetition after repetition. I was laying in bed the other night with my wife, and I was telling her, like, hey, I actually feel guilty or like a phony for publishing this book. And I've had hundreds of people respond positively that are some of the first people to have ordered my book. And I told my wife, I said, I feel like a phony. Who am I? And she says, Dalton, you've been writing ever since I've met you. You're an author. You've wrote multiple books. You just finally put one into a hardcover format and put it out into the world. And she literally pulled up my LinkedIn. My wife is the best. She pulled up my LinkedIn. She went to an article I wrote 5 years ago. And I'm in a position where I'm learning the power of morning routines and learning the power of how to actually inspire others. There was this old Scrabble board. We lived in this apartment and it had in the community center this Scrabble board. And it was kind of an oversized wall-based Scrabble. And it had a chalkboard attached. And I would wake up 5 in the morning. I'd go out and cold plunge in the pool at the community center in the winter. And I'd see this chalkboard and I started writing inspirational messages up there. And so this article was talking about just writing inspiration for people. And I don't know if anybody's even reading it, but the fact that I know that I'm putting good out into the world is good for me. And it's probably impacting people. And if it's not, it's impacting me. That was good enough. And she said, Dalton, you're already creating content. This is just the manifestation of a lot of work you've put in over the years. So my encouragement would be for you, if you're just now starting off on your own journey to become an everyday influencer yourself, somebody that goes about, does their life, lives their life, has their family, has their commitments, their job, their business, no matter where you're at, you can become an influencer yourself. That's the point of the book. That's the purpose of the title. Every day, everybody is influencing somebody. What I do is I encourage people to sharpen that skill set, to get better, to be more effective. My encouragement today is going to be while I tee up this series, I put a link in the comments. Grab a hard copy. If you've ever studied how people learn, auditory is good for sure, but you get just as distracted as I do. And so auditory plus visual, where somebody can actually like flip along, through the book as they're listening to it, as they're engaging in the media, they're also engaging in reading, then that actually increases their likelihood of retaining this information. In this book, I've synthesized literally thousands of hours of work and study and business concepts into really succinct, digestible content. So you, the modern creator, the modern entrepreneur, side hustler, you can actually pop it open, get some content, scroll through a few pages, pull something out, and apply it to your life immediately and see results. That's the purpose. So today I'm teeing up the book. The first few chapters are going to be why I wrote this book, and then the how to read this book. I just explained the how to read it. It's meant to be read in short bursts, and picking it up here and there, scrolling through it a little bit, just like you do your phone, by the way. You pick it up all the time. I wrote this book for people like me that are always engaging their phone, to where they can have a book that don't require them to sit down and meditate and get into this, this art, this focused state for hours on end to really comprehend a book, and they have to go reread pages. This isn't like this. This is short, succinct, choppy. I wrote it like I've wrote my viral LinkedIn posts transparently. And I've wrote thousands of posts. I've had hundreds of them go viral. I've had dozens of them acquire tens of thousands, if not some of them hundreds of thousands of viewers, likes, comments, etc. So I wrote this in a way, in a kind of a viral format to where it's easy to digest. It's really engaging. So my encouragement here is in how to read the book, grab a hard copy. It's going to be much more effective. But if you can't afford it, maybe that's why I'm creating this content. If you can't afford it, it's $14.99 on Amazon. If you can't get that, then no problem. Just pay attention, take notes. And then why I wrote this book. This article came out on CNBC a year ago. And for years, I'd been collecting content. I have this content database of all the stuff I've wrote and all the ideas I've had. And this article came out that said the number one career choice for Gen Z is to be an influencer, with over 60-something% of Gen Z saying they want to be, as a career, an influencer. And I'm a millennial, somebody who has grown up with a phone since middle school, who started off on MySpace and then Facebook and then Instagram and then TikTok and Snapchat. And I saw all these platforms roll out, and I was an early adopter on all of them. It was what everybody was doing. I saw that study and I'm like, what the heck does that even mean? What do they mean they want to be an influencer? And what I deduced in answering that question is that they have been most impacted. Their celebrities, their superstars, their heroes are people that they follow on social. That's it. Their heroes are influencers. And if I want to impact this next generation, then I too have to be an influencer. Now, I don't have to be famous. I don't have to be some social media dancer. That's not what an influencer means. And if you're a millennial or above, if you're a boomer, for sure. But most people hear this and they think TikTok dancer or famous celebrity walking in front of Lamborghinis or selling a course or whatever. That is not it. And the people that think like that are just, if you're that way, I'd encourage you to go talk to somebody under the age of 18. Find out how they think. Find out how they look at the world. Their heroes are people that they follow online, and they vary vastly from the ultra running community to the makeup tutorial community, to business influencers, to religious influencers, to tech influencers, to whatever it is. There are people in every category of niche on the planet that influence. That's a fact. You can get very niche too and find influencers in those categories. And obviously, the more niche you go, the more micro influencers have their relative in those spaces. But essentially, the modern influencer is impacting this next generation more than the mainstream media, more than news outlets. Gen Z does not read the newspaper. Gen Z does not watch a lot of TV. Gen Z doesn't do things like we did it. Gen Z doesn't drink. What does that mean? It means the upcoming generations are changing in how they perceive success, where they gather information. And if we don't start influencing this next generation, how are we going to instill values? How are we going to instill character? How are we going to instill morals? How are we going to be able to tell the stories that impacted us if we don't learn to meet them where they're at? So that conviction is what produced this book. And if you can't tell, I'm passionate. If you can't tell, I'm convicted. I'm determined. I love this subject. And I'm an amateur, but I'm committed to developing this craft. And this craft is to serve. And so today, again, I'm just teeing up this series. The next episode, we're going to jump into chapter 1, the power of a personal brand. And I'm going to break down for you very practically how you can take who you are, what you've learned, what you know, what you do, and you can use that to create influence, to serve this next generation, to create a lasting impact. Thanks, and we'll see you real soon.